My son and I just made that picture for this new segment called Story Time. I'm going to be sharing with you guys stories from my martial arts career, lifetime in martial arts, training, and different things that happen, things that come up. Started when I was 6 years old, actually, 5 or 6 years old, and still training to this day, 44 years old now, and still loving it. New things happen all the time, so I'm going to share with you guys a behind the scenes look on some of the things that were pretty funny or that I think are interesting that you might like, and hopefully not put you to sleep like I was in the picture there, like a bedtime story, but to entertain you and give you a few laughs along the way. So the first story is actually not a very positive one. It's about my worst injury that I've ever sustained in my entire life, in my entire martial arts career. This happened years back, many years back, probably over 25 years. And it was at the National Black Belt League World Championship. So the National Black Belt League was one of the most prestigious sport karate leagues in the world. And back then, mattered so much to me. I would train all the time and compete all over North America in so many tournaments and just building up over the years. And I'd done very well in the past. I had won the world championship as a green belt. I had won the world championship as a brown belt. And this was my first year as a black belt, testing myself against the people that I looked up to for so many years. And there's an interesting quote that says, "Train hard until your idols become your rivals." And I was at this point where now all of a sudden I'm fighting the guys that I studied, the guys that I looked up to, and it was a nerve-wracking time, but I was excited to test myself, especially after all of the success I was able to have as a colored belt. So the World Championships were in Washington D.C. that year, and I'll show you what the stage looks like here. Well, before we get to that, so what happens? You end up fighting through elimination rounds. So I fought through my elimination rounds and ended up winning enough matches to get to the finals. So when you get to the finals, they have a huge show. So you don't actually fight on the same day. You fight on the following day. So you can kind of see in the corner there, that's 1 year. That's how they set up the stage. So you can see that they put a lot of thought into it, a lot of hard work. This wasn't the year that I fought. Mine was way too old. I can't even find pictures. I can't find any information even on the internet. So it was a long time ago. But this is another year that they did the setup. So everybody would fight on the stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. And so that was one of my first big events where I got to fight in front of everybody just watching me. So in normal tournaments you would fight and there'd be all matches going around just like a jiu-jitsu tournament, and no one's really focused on just one match. But in this case, everybody's eyes were on us. So I was nervous going into this, but I was hoping to win the black belt title, because they had these really cool belts. You get a black belt, and actually said first place was sewn into it, and it was really, really, really nice. And the final match didn't go my way. I was losing on points. Kicks were scoring more than punches, I believe, at that time. And he ended up getting a few kicks on me, was up on points. Time was running down. Wasn't looking good for me. And then I got clipped. I got clipped with a roundhouse kick in my eye. And it was just a kind of a fast kick, and it just went pop. And when you watch it on tape, it doesn't even look like a hard kick. But instantly I had to give up. I had to tap out. I had to give up because I was scared. My entire vision changed in an instant. So one eye, my good eye, my right eye, it was this eye that got hit right here, kind of below my eye, I think. My right eye was totally clear, totally straight. My left eye was totally clear, but the whole room was on a diagonal. So I had this one eye seeing this one. So I had two rooms, and I could not get it to go back to normal. So instantly I knew something was wrong. Something was really, really bad. So I gave up. And if you watch on tape, it looked like a weak kick, and it looked like I just kind of wimped out. But I knew I was messed up. And let's go to a picture here. So this was the guy that I fought. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can see that my left eye is kind of messed up there. So I ended up getting second that year, which I was kind of happy with, my first year black belt. But I had bigger things to deal with my eye here and my health. And so like any other injury, you just kind of hope with time it gets better or it goes away. And I was hoping, and I went to bed. So I was hoping I would wake up the next day, everything would be fine, I wouldn't have nothing to worry about. About 4 or 5 hours later, middle of the night, 4 in the morning, I wake up and my vision did not even get better at all. It was exactly the same thing. One eye totally straight and clear, other eye on a diagonal, and I could not even focus on anything. So I was young at the time. We went with one of the other fathers from school. He was there. We're in Washington, D.C. I don't know if we drove there. He had a rental car, but I knew he had a vehicle. And I woke him up. His name's Paul, and thank you, Paul. I always say he saved my life that day because he didn't complain at all, took me to the hospital, and we get to the hospital. So it's Georgetown University Hospital. And at the time, I didn't realize that, and it was accidental, that this was supposedly the best hospital in the entire United States for eyes. So we kind of lucked out. We didn't notice at the time when we were there. So all the way there, I'm making a deal. I'm praying to God. I said, just please let me see again regular, and I will quit martial arts forever. And it makes me emotional to this day, 25 years later, that I was so worried about my sight and so worried about my health that I would have just quit what I love so much. And I just pleaded, please let me get my vision back. Let me get back to normal. So we get to the hospital, and it was chaotic. There was a person there who got beat up with a baseball bat. I think someone had gotten shot. And I didn't realize at the time, Paul was telling me that this was a dangerous area. So it was Washington, D.C. So I looked it up actually when I was doing this video. And you see, out of 100 is safest, it's rated a 3. So if one was the most dangerous, it's rated a 3. So even to this day, it's a very dangerous area. So let's just read that. With a crime rate of 60 per 1,000 residents, people have a 1 in 17 chance of becoming a victim of violent or property crime. So it was a pretty wild area, and that night was no different. It was full of people that needed help. Obviously more than me, more an emergency type setting. So I just waited a long time, which I didn't mind. I was happy to be in the hospital, happy to hopefully see a doctor that can shed some information on why this is doing this, because it wasn't getting better at all. So I waited, and eventually the doctor showed up, and I think he came from home. So he met me, and he took us in the room, and he did a bunch of tests. We did all these x-rays, tests, and all this stuff. I can't really remember exactly what he did, but it took quite a long time. And eventually he came back, and he said that I was worried I'd need surgery right on the spot. And being in a foreign country that's not my home country, I didn't know what it was going to cost. I didn't know the dangers, what would happen. I was nervous about that as well. And he said that I didn't need surgery, so that was good. But he said that it should heal on its own. So I was like, wow, it's not getting better at all now. I'm just going to head home and hopefully it heals. So I took his word. Obviously, the guy's a master in his craft. So I felt a little bit better, but still I couldn't see anything. It was just all messed up. So I ended up heading home, and just like he said, probably a couple of days later, I felt a little popping sensation in my eye. So what he had said was that there was a crack in my orbit bone that didn't require surgery, but the nerves from my eye were caught in that crack. So I actually have a picture here of the skull. So I kind of got hit. If you look at the right side there, left side on the face, of course, looking at us, it's the zygomatic bone. I think that's what I kind of cracked. He said orbit bone, but maybe they're all part of that. I'm not too sure. If anybody knows, you can put a comment below. But the nerves of my eye were getting caught in that crack. So they weren't, one eye wasn't tracking properly. And when I felt that pop, all of a sudden, boom, my eyes straightened out. And it was like a miracle. And just slowly it got better. I had some vision problems. When I looked down, it would get blurry. When I looked up, it would get blurry. But at least I could see straight. The room was clear, and everything was a lot better. And then just over time, I got better and better. And then when my health came back, I really wanted to get back to martial arts. I know I made that promise, but I kind of felt like, I'd been given these gifts to do what I'm doing and follow in my father's footsteps. And, I think, anybody out there would want me to use those gifts. So I was happy to be healthy again. And going forward, never had that problem again. I've been hit with full power punches, kicks, elbows in the same spot, and never had it. So I don't know if that was just a freak accident or something that happened, which is a weird angle. It was just a flicky kick, and it caused pretty much the scariest injury of my entire life. So Another cool part about the story though is the day after I cracked my eye, I still couldn't see it very well at all. But they asked me to do my weapons kata, so the bow staff. So I had a bow routine, and I used to practice like a maniac all the time. And I practiced so hard that I was able to go on stage and do a demonstration and show my routine, because it was kind of a bit of a buzz after I did it at the regular tournament. That, they wanted me to do a demonstration on the finale, the next day finale, in front of everybody. So I got up there and I did it with hardly any vision, but it was just a testament to all the practice that I put in. So I think that's going to kind of tie into our next video, where I'll talk about the bow staff and my obsession with practicing weapons back then, and teaching myself skills and studying the best people, and some good things that can apply to any martial arts and help you improve. So I'll leave it with that, and we'll get back to the story time graphic that my son and I made, and hopefully this story didn't put you to sleep and gave you a little bit of entertainment instead. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you soon.